3, 2, 1. Listen up, true believers. You're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash. This is Stan the Man. It is Wednesday, July 10th, and you know what that means? It's time for another In and Out Weekly Comics Pull List. You got that right. WTF Marvel. 8 number ones this week. There's so many number ones I couldn't fit any of the news stuff that I was planning on normally covering on the show, or just things I like to talk about. But let's just get into this. War of the Realms Omega number 1. I didn't even know this was coming out. There was 7 number 1s for War of the Realms. Omega makes 8 by my count. I could be wrong. There could be more. There's just so many out there. I thought this event was over, but nope, Marvel's got to keep milking it. Wolverine vs. Blade number 1. They still don't have Wolverine with his own series, because that would be smart and giving fans what they want. They can't do that, but they're going to milk him in these separate books where they can chalk up number 1 after number 1 after number 1. We already got the stupid Daredevil and Spider-Man. Somehow, that's actually like in the 50s or something. Why that's like one of the longest going books at Marvel is beyond me. But that just shows you the state of things at Marvel. Then we've got Invisible Woman number 1. If there was ever a character that didn't just need or I don't want to say deserve. She's a great character. But if there was ever a character that you just didn't make a solo book around, it'd be Invisible Woman. She's the wife of Reed Richards. She's part of the Fantastic Four. She's the First Lady of comics. She's an important character, but she's also a team player. She's kind of like Marvel's mom in a way. Like, not mom of Marvel, but the mom of Marvel, if that makes any sense. But her just running around by herself having adventures seems... who wants this book? And why would you not have a Wolverine book, but you'd have a Invisible Woman have her own book? Yeah, I think the answer there is obvious. Meanwhile, in Wolverine books, here's another Wolverine number 1. It's Wolverine and Captain America this time. I got an idea, Marvel. Why don't you just make a Wolverine book with every other character? You could have a Wolverine and Spider-Man number 1. You could have a Wolverine and Daredevil number 1. Wolverine and Thor. Wolverine and Iron Man. Wolverine and Ironheart. Wolverine and Miss Marvel. Wolverine and Captain Marvel. Wolverine and the X-Men. Wolverine and the X-Force. Wolverine and the X-Statics. How many other characters are there? Maybe Wolverine and Star Wars. That'd be the creme de la creme. Oh, but let's not forget, if we're going to cross universes, we could have Wolverine and Conan. Oh, that's right. You've already done that in Savage Avengers. God. Star Wars Age of Resistance, Captain Phasma, number 1. The series that doesn't have any numbers except ones. It just goes on and on and on. Number 1 after number 1 after number 1 after number 1. And fans keep gobbling this shit up. Giant Size Ecstatics number 1. What? What? $5? Secret Warps Weapon Hex Annual number 1. Oh my god, I wasn't going to put this on. You say, Ash, we don't put annuals on here. Yeah, that's annuals of like normal ongoing series I don't put on here. But if you're going to make a series of annuals, of which this is an entire series of Secret Warps, and they're just all called annuals, and they're all number 1s. And it's retarded. I think this is the first one. And then I thought it was over. I was like, oh, I'm done. 7. But nope, I scrolled down the list of Marvel books, and at the bottom, I missed one. Marvel Tales, Captain America, number 1, for $7.99. I thought, all said and done, we were getting away at just under $30, but nope. Your grand total is $38. $38 if you want to be a part of the number 1s this week at Marvel. Unbelievable. Stan, you are dearly missed, my friend. Meanwhile, moving on. Since I can't cover the news, I figure I'll just point out someone who really does cover the news really well. This is my boy Wes at Thinking Critical. He did a video that I just watched this morning called Comic Book Industry News. And he covers multiple topics, including the new Fantastic Four Grand Design book that's coming out, IDW's problems, And the one that I wanted to talk about was Legion of Superheroes. If you haven't heard by now, Brian Michael Bendis' grand design, apparently, no pun intended, was to launch a Legion of Superheroes book starring our friend Superboy. Except he's not our friend Superboy. He's a mutation that Bendis created for his own machinations in this Legion of Superheroes that I don't think anyone really wants. If you've seen the art direction of this new Legion of Superheroes, where they've all gone crazy, postmodernist Portland freak show, it doesn't strike me as characters who actually come from the 30th or 31st century. It strikes me as people who are in present-day Portland now. And Superboy's been aged up to go over to there. Now, Wes beat me to it. There was one blatantly obvious thing that sticks out to me about this whole Superboy nonsense. The Legion of Superheroes is in the 31st century, and they come back in time to get Superboy to join their ranks, just like they did in the old days in the Silver Age. Superman, when he was just a boy, joined the Legion of Superheroes for a time and fought crime in the future and blah, 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 did all this stuff. And it was made for fun adventures. Bendis apparently wants to bring that back and redo it with John Kent. So he's got to age him up, though, because 10-year-old John Kent's not old enough to be in the Legion of Superheroes. I get that. So you got to age him up so he can join. The problem is, the Legion of Superheroes, to come get and recruit John Kent, they could just come 7-10 years into the present day future from that time and grab him then. Why do we need to age him up if you're going to come back in time? That makes no sense. It's a stupid idea. It shows that this is something that was never really thought out. It ruins a character for no reason. We could have Superboy in the Legion of Superheroes as a 17, 18-year-old kid, and we could still have Jonathan Kent. But not with Bendis writing, because he doesn't know what he's doing. Anyways, Wes covers this and more. This is the one thing I wanted to talk about, and he beat me to it, so I figured I'm just going to give credit. If you want to watch the news and get an in-depth understanding of all the recent stupidity that's happening in the industry, watch Wes's cool video. Now that I'm sensing it's really hard talking just off of the top of your head and like having a stream of conscience. And when you start talking too fast, you just start stumbling over your words, and that's what I'm doing now. Since I'm covering YouTube videos that I watched, I thought I would just talk about my history. Perch, who is a comic retailer and an all-around good YouTube, sorry, not YouTube, yeah, he's a YouTube buddy, but mostly a Twitter buddy. I've been following Perch for a long time on Twitter. He's followed me back. This is a guy with a lot of insight. He's got a very even keel. He doesn't speak on, like, he comes from when he speaks, it does not come from a perspective of agenda or bias. He comes from a very neutral point and a very open-minded point. I don't always agree with what he has to say, but I always respect what he has to say. He's very eloquent, much more eloquent than me. Here he's talking about fridging in comics. I thought this was kind of interesting. I'm not actually real familiar with fridging. This was like something I don't hear about, but apparently in his circles, he hears about it a lot. Then our boy Zach, Diversity in Comics, for some dumb reason changed his name that no one will ever understand. Did this video on things that Batman is and Batman isn't. And my God, I love Zach. Zach's a great dude. He's the reason I'm back into comics. But this guy keeps missing the mark again. I can't understand how someone can go so out of touch so quickly. I feel like Zach doesn't even like really get comics anymore. He talks about Batman, and here he does this little pinup. He talks about this, you don't see it here, but he talks about things like Batman's not a genius, and he's not the best fighter. And I'm just like, what? And then he made a comment where Batman doesn't need to be a detective. Yeah, here you see right here, things that Batman is. And in the list was a detective. And he argued that that's not something Batman is. And I was like, are you freaking out of your mind? He's the world's greatest detective. That is his point in DC. You cannot say Batman doesn't need to be a detective to be Batman. That is one of the hallmarks of what he is. Like, so for him to say that Batman didn't need the, I was like, dude, you done lost your mind. Like, and to copy Zach is like, oh no, what is you doing? What is you doing? What does he do? Oh no, what is you doing? Anyways, watch this for a hot take on Batman that's just loopy, and will now make you understand why he rips up things like Last Night on Earth, which might be one of the best Batman stories in a long time. Tim Pool is fantastic if you care about politics and you want someone who's going to give you the straight story, but I'm not going to cover politics here. This was recommended by Bats to me on the Discord channel. Spider-Man PS4's Perfect Spider-Man movie. I will warn you, there's big spoilers in here that could, spoil the game story for you. But if you've played the game, or if you don't intend to play the game, and in which case spoilers wouldn't matter because you would have never seen him anyway, this is fantastic. This guy does a great coverage of Spider-Man. Why this is great. It's not just relevant to the video game. I mean, it's about the game, but it really covers about why Spider-Man is what he is. And then here's this. Original public Fight at Disneyland. If you want to see something bizarro, they're usually covered by our boy Ethan Van Sciver. This video here is insane. It's insane. It's 4 minutes long. Fight it. You're gonna just be like, what is wrong with the society today? Here it is. All right, but that's not what you came here for. Forky, thanks for monitoring the iPad. Everyone give Forky a round of applause and make him feel valuable because he is. He's not trash. He thinks he is, but he's not. What you came here for was burgers. Am I right? Am I right? No, I'm not right. Oh, yeah. Today, in honor of my boy, Sergeant Bats, I decided to go with a traditional... Oh, man, this is all sloppy. It goes around in the car. I don't drive very... How do I say? I don't want to say I don't drive safe. I'm a pretty safe driver, but I don't drive very casually. This is an In-N-Out animal-style burger. If you've never had animal style, it's not on the menu, but you can order it. It's pretty famous nowadays, but it's a double-double. Well, you can get a cheeseburger, hamburger, animal style too. But what they do is they grill the patty in mustard. So when it's cooking, they put mustard on it and then cook it in the mustard. Then they add pickle to the burger, extra spread, and they put on grilled onions. And that's called animal style. And I'm going to be eating that right now, and then we're going to get to the comics. Damn, that burger is good. You can never go wrong with a double-double animal style, I got to tell you what. Now, it's time for the comics. I did my list sideways. It fits much better on my book because this comic thing is not actually 8.5 by 11 or whatever a full sheet of paper is. So I have to fold it. Then the print doesn't fit. So I realized if I did it sideways, it works perfectly. I just fold it a little bit. I put a comic book backboard in here and slide down. And then I go to my store and I can go check. Did I got all my books? Because I'm really bad at that. I'll be like driving home or doing my list. I'll be like, oh shoot, I forgot a book. Anyways, spoiler alert. These are what they are. It calculates what my price was. I actually get cheaper than that. Because I got a discount. Oh, it even calculates my discount. See, 20% discount. I don't know why I get cheaper. So one of these books didn't make the list. So it's not a full spoiler. Haha, you'll never know which book unless you watch the whole video. Here are my receipts. As always, show me your receipts. Let's see. So I had a $25... Where's all this stuff? I had a $25 like Amex card. Yeah, there it is. So I paid $25 on that, and then there was $37.52. Cheap. That's less. My entire pull list this week is less than if you were to buy those Marvel #1s, and I got more comics. So $38 if we round up. Those are my receipts. You saw them. I did not steal these books. Let's see. We got some freebie stuff. Look at this. Got a card. It's going to be a launch party. I don't think my store is going to do the launch party, but House of X, Powers of X. Basically, 2 overpriced X-Men books instead of just one X-Men book. So you have to buy 2. And make no mistake, you can't just buy one of them. Like with Superman, you could get away with buying Superman or Action Comics. They're really, really separate. These are going to be intertwined. So it's really just one book. They don't want to really... They got burned, or not burned. They got caught. They got called out for the Uncanny X-Men bullshit where they released it weekly. So here they're going to have a bi-weekly book, but 2 of them. So every week you'll just alternate. So every week you will be getting a book, and they're overpriced. I think they're $4 or $5.99. Oh, Marvel's out to just screw you. Bring the lube. Then they have this free thing, Young Gun's sketchbook, and it's like, this is very interesting. It's thicker than a comic book. Thicker. It's the exact size of a comic book, but it's free. So I picked it up, and it's got articles and features and art and new artists and stuff. So why do their comics have to be $4.99, $5.99? And this is free. Well, Ash, that's advertisement. So, yes, exactly. These books that you buy are advertisement. The comic industry is no longer there to make comics. They're there to make advertisement to get you to go see movies. The Avengers Endgame making over $2 billion will cover... Marvel Comics would take... I don't even think in a decade would make that. Like, is a drop in the bucket. Marvel Comics nowadays is just there to create an avenue of interest for this multi-billion-dollar movie franchise. And so every week when you buy a comic, whenever you buy, you're going to go buy your Iron Man or whatever, you're just buying an advertisement that you're paying for. Getting ripped off. Well, Ash, why do you buy comics then? Well, I buy comics the same reason you do. Hey, look, more advertisements. They had these in the freebie bin. I thought I'd just pick them up. You never know. You never know. This House of X could blow me away. This could be like the next Venom. I scoffed at Venom when it first came out. I was like, whatever. And then Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman proved that they're the real deal. And now Venom is one of the better books in all of comics. So just because it's Marvel doesn't mean it sucks. It's just very likely. It's like if you ever gone to the horse races, I love horse races, right? You have like the long shots, you got the 50 to 1. Don't bet on the 50 to 1 guy, right? Because he's almost certainly going to finish not in the top 3. So betting on the 50 to 1, but every once in a while, those long shots for some reason come in, and they every once in a while, and then those people that like bet on the long shot, they pay big. But they will lose more often. So if you bet on the long shot every single time, the one time he wins won't make up for all the times you bet that he lost. You'll still lose money. And that's how Marvel is. They will occasionally print out a book, and you'll go, oh, wow, this Immortal Hulk's actually really good, Ash. And I'm, okay, cool. They have 116 books, I think, that they publish monthly. So 1 out of 116, that's good odds. If you buy all those books and one of them's that good, how much money have you lost? So here's Venom. This is my first physical copy of Venom. I bought the first 2 trade paperbacks on Comixology. Had a big sale, 2 for 1. Marvel 2 for 1 sale. They had, in addition, the 2 for 1 counted on sale books, of which Venom was already on sale. So they were like $3 or $4. And then I bought it with another book. So I think I got a Venom and like a Guardians of the Galaxy trade. Then I got another Venom with the like Cosmic Ghost Rider trade. And they were all on sale for like $3 to $4. So essentially I paid like $2.50 a piece per trade. Super deal. So I have the first 12 issues essentially in trade now. And the other issues up to 13, 14, and 15 were the War of the Realms bullshit that wasn't Donny Cates. So this is the first issue. Donny Cates is back. And it's sad because Ryan Stegman's not in the art. And I'm like, ugh. So I really debated about picking it up. But I was like, no. I told myself I was going to pick it up. So there you go. And what am I doing? I'm supposed to be putting it up here where Stan and Forky can show it off. Look at you, Forky. Everyone loves seeing you. Your smiling face makes everyone happy. And Stan also makes everyone happy because I remember all the joy over the many, many years that he brought to comics. Speaking of joy brought to comics, Tom King is doing the opposite. He's bringing the misery to comics. But look at these covers. These Batman covers. I am going away from the Batman, or I am going away from the alt covers. I'll cover them more in a bit, but these Batmans I can't stop. And I can't stop buying the freaking Tom Kings. It started off so good, and I do think Tom King has it within him to write. He's just in a place, and he doesn't have an editorial staff that's basically holding him accountable. So, speaking of Batman, I love segues. I especially love segues that make no sense. But this one does, because it is Batman. This is the Batman book that doesn't suck. This is Batman Detective Comics. I did a review already on 1006, which is the first arc of this story, or first issue of this arc, which is a story. So 1006 would be your jumping on point, or 1001, or 1000, or 994. Those are all your jumping on points, depending on how far you want to go back. Peter Tomasi is the guy you want to follow. Hotz is the artist of this arc, and I wasn't sure, everyone was like, oh, Hotz is doing it. I really liked it. This is a good, solid comic book. It's not the in-depth book that Batman is. It's more of the fun, I just want to pick up a comic and read and have a fun story. This is the kind of book that Richard Meyer should love, the one he talks about liking comics. You can pick up any of these arcs, right? The last arc was about the Arkham Knight, and it finished up real nicely. And if you pick up 1006, it's like a clean cut. It doesn't reference that past story at all, which is going to be both good and bad, depending on what kind of fan you are. Some fans like these like super long, episodic, the book storyline just continues for hundreds of issues, whatever. I get that. That's how Uncanny X-Men was. But every comic shouldn't be that way, right? And I appreciate this style of comic. I appreciate that you can just jump in and be like, oh, I'm getting a good Batman story. This will probably be 5 or 6 issues. Actually, I don't even think it's going to be that. Because, spoiler, I saw something after this issue where, like, Joker is coming around. So, these might just be, like, a couple of, like, really mini arcs. And that's fine, too. I like if you just, it might be this might be a 2-issue story of the Spectre. And that could turn out to be really cool. I'll do a review on it. I'll keep you posted. But Detective is a solid book. You cannot go wrong. Speaking of Detective, there's another Batman book, The Outsiders. Now, surprisingly, I did not enjoy issue 2 of this. Okay, I somewhat enjoyed it. But I was really kind of let down because I'm huge hyped on Brian Hill. And I'm just like, oh, and I want to like his work. He's one of those guys where he's so good with the fans, and he's so professional, and he is excited. Like if you follow him on Twitter, he is a fan himself. He loves like movies and music and TV shows, and he's always talking about the things that he likes. I happen to share a lot of his likes. He's a big Michael Mann fan. Michael Mann is a director. He directed great movies like Heat. So if you haven't seen Heat, it's like one of the best crime movies of all time. So also Miami Vice, which I grew up with as a kid. Like he's a big Miami Vice fan. Anyways, derail. I like Brian Hill. I want to like his books. I really liked his Detective run, which is the reason I'm even buying Detective now. He's the one that got me on there. He's got talent, and one thing I really love about him is he gets Batman's voice. I don't think there's a writer currently today, not even Scott Snyder, who I really like, who gets Batman's voice. That's all. Not just how Batman talks and holds himself. I like that. I like how Brian Hill does it better than anyone. That doesn't mean he plots better or gets other characters better. Just that one element. The problem with Batman the Outsiders is there's very little Batman in it. This is Batman's team. If you're to compare this to like X-Men, Batman is just sort of like Professor X. He's just kind of in the background. And Black Lightning is like the actual leader. He's like the Scott Summers. So every once in a while, Batman's around to like lecture him or be like, hey, you should do this, or and there's some tension between the two characters. But so Batman's not really, this should just be called The Outsiders. But of course, Batman is going to sell the book. I do enjoy it. I did give it a 3-star review, but I was expecting more. Also Dexter Soy. Everyone loves Dexter Soy. He's just okay for me. Then there's Flash. This is Flash 74 to be chapter 5 of the year 1 story. The last issue was the best issue so far, so it's really picking up. I'm really enjoying it. I'm kind of wishing I didn't get these alt covers. As I was talking about, I'm kind of done with these alt covers. And speaking of done with alt covers, Red Hood and the Outlaws. Red Hood Outlaw. Bring back the Outlaws, DC. That was the... DC Comics is like, oh, did you like that? Oh, we'll take it away. That's what DC loves to do. Did you like this? Well, that means we'll take it away. Don't ever tell DC you like what they're doing, because then they'll cancel it. They don't want you to like what they're doing, apparently. Anyways, Scott Lobdell's still doing this. It's like his only book that he's really doing, and it kind of shows in like the quality, right? This, unlike the Bendis books, in the Bendis books, he's the guy who writes 10 issues a month. Scott Lobdell writes one comic every month, and it's whether you like it or don't like it, you can't fault it for being this hacked out piece of nonsense. Scott's trying to tell a story. You either like Red Hood or you don't. It's a solid book. I normally got the alt covers. Red Hood always had really great alt covers. You know me, was big on the full arts. DC did something this year that I think is bunk, pun intended. They're doing the Year of the Villain alt covers, the B covers, where it's like the cardboard paper. They're charging $1 extra, and all it is a face. That's stupid. So the books I like to get the alt covers for, I'm just like, oh, F that, I'm done. And now that I'm switched over to books I love getting the alt covers for, was Hawkman. The first 13 issues, I have all the alt covers, but not any longer. So here we have the newest issue. By the way, read Hawkman. This is one of the best comics on the shelf. You wouldn't think so, because you look at Hawkman and go, he's stupid. He's a guy who's called Hawkman. He's got a stupid mask and he flies around with wings. That's stupid. That's what I used to think. It's not. I do think the mask is still kind of dumb. I don't think we'll ever get a visual overhaul of the character, because he's just so old, and DC loves their old-timey classics. I think maybe some minute changes would work that people would accept. I do. But anyways, if you think Hawkman sounds dumb, just remember how dumb... I mean, just replace Hawk with Bat or Spider. Like, it's really not dumb. People associate Hawkman as kind of dumb because he's a guy who just has wings, and guys with wings that fly around are kind of dumb. Anyways, but Hawkman's not. Issues 1 through 12 is one of the best comic stories you're going to read. It is fantastic. And then this one introduces Shadow Thief, which I never knew about this character because I was never a DC fan. And it kind of bummed me out, because as a kid and a big comic fan, and I was a wannabe artist at one time, and all this stuff, and I'm still a wannabe writer, I created my own cast of characters, and so forth. One of the characters I created a long time ago, back in the 80s, was Shadow Thief. I have a character. He's a speedster, actually. It's kind of a take on a speedster. He's a speedster that's like the Shadow speeds. Anyways, I don't want to cover that. So I saw this, I was like, oh, Shadow Thief is a character I can never use now. Speaking of characters I can never use, Justice League Odyssey. I like this book. It's not the best. It's probably the least best of the 3 Justice League books, but it takes characters that I didn't really care for. Titans characters. First of all, takes this Titan character out of the main Justice League book. I've never thought Cyborg fit right. Starfire, who I think's a cool character. I like Starfire because she's not a Justice League clone character. One of the things I don't like about the Teen Titans and Young Justice is they're just tokenized characters of the main Justice League. Like, you've got a Batman character, a Superman character. They're all ripoffs of existing characters, right? You've got, instead of Jonah Hex, you've got Ginny Hex. Instead of Lobo, you've got whatever her dumb name is, right? You got a version of a Green Lantern. You've got Robin instead of Batman, or Nightwing, or it's just God, so derivative. That's one thing I hate about DC Comics, is they're so derivative of themselves. But Starfire is one of the few characters who's not. She's like an original character, and I thought, I don't know much about her, but she looks interesting. I know a lot of people really like her as a character, and I was like, I just think Titans Teen Titans, regular Titans, I think those are all dumb. They don't interest me at all. But get rid of Titans and put them in Justice League? Justice League Odyssey can almost be considered... I know it's not. People are going to argue with me like, oh, it's not Titans. But it kind of is. Wally West is ruined, sadly. This is the replacement book, and it's also cosmic, and it gives these characters a home that I feel makes more sense. At least to me, I can approach it and get into it. Finally, a home that doesn't make sense. Fallen World, number 3. They keep getting me the pre-order editions, and I keep buying them because I'm a sucker for that. I decided to get this book when I still thought there was hope in Valiant, and this is the last Valiant book I'm going to be buying. I have done reviews of the first 2 issues. I am enjoying the book. I understand some people have commented to me that, you know, Ash, you got to read Rye because it'll change your view, and I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I do want to read Rye. I think Rye is interesting, but on a blank surface, you know, in a vacuum, this is still a fun book. It may not be canonically, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's not true to canon, or it's, you know, variant, but it's still a solid book, especially if you don't know a lot of stuff that's going on. It's a decently fun adventure book. I don't think I would recommend you going out and seeking it out, though, unless you're just diehard for it, because I think Valiant's going down the tubes, and all the books that it really represents, like Bloodshot, Eternal Warrior, Rye, these are things that Valiant doesn't seem to care about anymore. So, Dan Abnett and Adam Plena, it's like a swan song. This is the final thing, and Valiant is a fallen comic company. Speaking of fallen comic companies, Skybound is not a fallen comic company, although they are going to suffer pretty big at the loss of no more Walking Dead. But I got to hand it to Robert Kirkman for how they spun that, and it's fantastic. So that's my books this week. Which do you think are going to be the best? This is a solid book. They didn't really talk enough about it because I got stuck on talking Walking Dead, but I'm a few issues behind, actually. I got distracted on other things, but these are really actually kind of great to read in the arcs. I think I'm 4 books behind. I think the last book I read was 14 or 13. 14, I don't remember. This is really, really good, though. Don't let that deter you at all. Hawkman. I don't know if this is starting a new arc yet. The Shadow Thief. I'm very interested to actually have a Hawkman villain in the books. And I'm really enjoying the Detective Comics. And which do you think is going to be the worst? I easily point to Batman. I keep hoping that things change, but I don't know. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully it wasn't too long for you. If there's anything you want to comment, please comment down below. If you didn't like the video, or if you plan on unsubscribing, I lost 8 subscribers. What the hell's up with that? In like a couple of days. Seems kind of strange to me because my videos, they may not be the best videos in the world. I don't praise myself, but they are consistent. Like, I haven't changed what I'm doing. But comment down below. Tell me, unless you're just going to troll me and just say mean things, I guess, or whatever. But if there's something that you want to see better, like, man, Ash, your videos are too long, or Ash, your videos aren't long enough, or you stutter too much, or I hate seeing the damn burger in the video, or whatever, just tell me. I do listen to feedback. It's not always obviously implemented in like the next video or whatever, but honestly, I really do. I do appreciate every single view. I'm a small channel. I don't make any money off of this. This is a hobby to me. And I understand that there's billions of videos on YouTube you could be watching, and each one that you choose is a big sign. Like, that's something I appreciate. The fact that you chose to give me 15, 20, 30 minutes of your time, that's a huge, it's kind of humbling, to be honest. So thanks for watching. As always, I'm Ash. This is Stan. This is Forky, and we've been glad to have you. Let's talk comics down below. Join the Discord channel if you want to talk even more in depth, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, I almost forgot. Friends of the channel, there is a good YouTube friend and Twitter friend of mine, Eric Breen. You may know him. This poor guy, however, has a condition. It's called delusion. He's recently come out and publicly stated that frozen waffles were better than In-N-Out Burger, and that frozen waffles were to In-N-Out Burger what Milky Way is to gummy bears. Now, you may not understand, there's a big controversy going on right now called Candygate. And there's a set of individuals out there that are living this delusion that Milky Way candy bars are the best candy. And there's us, the rest of us, who are right, who are trying to convince them of the greatness that are gummy bears, or gummy worms, or whatever animals you prefer. They all fall under the same banner. But Eric, unfortunately, he just doesn't know better. And our friend Jimmy from Comic Quirks has been under Eric's spell as well. Eric, let me introduce you to the greatest candy, Haribo Star Mix. Now, Haribo and Black Forest, it's a toss-up between which are the best of the best when it comes to making gummies. But Haribo makes Star Mix, which is gummy bears. They're gummy snakes, which are two a sweet one and a sour one. You get the gummy colas, which are amazing. And you get the cherries, which I guess for those of you who are mad at Ethan Van Sciver, you can have cherries. Or if you are pro Ethan Van Sciver, you can eat the cherries and stick a middle finger up to them. I don't know. I don't care. I do know that this is the best candy. And Stan the Man has approved, and we never argue with Stan the Man. And anyone who would dare say that frozen waffles are better than In-N-Out, obviously, is someone who can't be trusted for taste. So friends of the channel, please help. We need an intervention for Eric Breen. He's a good guy. He means well, but he's been away from good things for so long that he doesn't understand what's really good. So please, if you can, go on the channel, help out. Let's try to convince Eric the error of his ways. Eric, Forky says you're not trash. Thanks for watching, guys.